Let me make something clear. This video isn't going to tell you that it's okay to disregard all the rules so you can go around robbing and murdering everyone. What this video will tell you is how to recognize the purpose of rules, and when you should break them. But what are rules? I'd say that they're a set of guidelines to facilitate fairness and happiness in an environment. The fairness portion is important. You wouldn't want anyone to steal your wallet, would you? But what about happiness? How do we get it? If you watch my video on the formula, you know that we're all motivated by ego, romance, and survival. So we know that rules are made to appeal to these factors. Now let's move on to the types of rules. There are two types of rules. Rules that your environment places on you, like the speed limit on a highway, and rules that you place on yourself, like deciding that you won't paint the sidewalk red via a family of 4. Right? For this video, I'm going to focus on the rules that are placed on you by your environment. Our video on open-mindedness discusses the rules we place on ourselves, so I'd recommend watching that after you're done here. It's important to recognize that the overlap between your rules and your environment's rules is basically 99%, as the rules are created by the beliefs of the rule makers, and those beliefs are influenced by the formula. How exactly? Well, think of rules relating to survival as laws that are actually enforced, like murder and robbery. As for romance, there's a mix of laws and unwritten rules that you follow, with the laws relating to sexual crimes and the unwritten rules relating to the more specific things about your behavior, like not double texting, paying for the first date, or even cheating on your girlfriend. Ego is basically only unwritten rules, like keeping your shirt on in the gym, not looking through someone's phone without permission, not staring at people on the street, and not asking about someone's salary, age, or weight. It's important to note that the unwritten rules for romance will always have a factor of ego. I just put them in that category due to the nature of the actions themselves. How about a more in-depth example? Let's say your parents tell you that you can't get into a romantic relationship. Before you complain to all your friends about how your parents are tyrants, you need to understand where they're coming from. They created this rule with the assumption that if you got into a relationship, it would negatively affect your life in some way. So, if you can explain why it doesn't apply to you, you'll convince your parents to let you date. Yippee! I'll dive into why this probably won't work in a future video, but for now I'll give you a hint. It relates to ego. So, what do? Ultimately, if you could get your parents to understand human behavior, all would be swell. Unfortunately, doing that can be extremely difficult, especially if you're not there yourself. If all else fails, you need to consider the consequences that come with breaking a rule. I know, dealing with negative consequences for an action that is completely logical and justified sucks, but that's the punishment you get for not being able to change the rule itself. At that point, you need to be the one to decide where your priorities lie, and if breaking the rule outweighs the consequence. I know that the example I've used in this video can be seen as silly and obvious, but this concept applies to literally every rule. This isn't to say that you should break rules just to break rules. In fact, most rules created by your environment are pretty good and are beneficial 99.9% of the time. You don't get much from going out in public naked, not following traffic laws, assaulting people, skipping people in line. You get the point. The main fundamental you should get from this video is that, for all rules, there exists a set of circumstances where it'd be beneficial to break them. It's your job to analyze the rules and to decide if you should break them or not. Like and subscribe, please.